Okay, where should we start? So, the anime community over the years always had a bit of a tendency to overhype things up. And that's putting it mildly, because I know for a fact that there's a bunch of fake reactionist channels here on YouTube who are faking their reactions to new anime reveals and trailers. And there's always been this sort of a fabricated fake hype culture revolving around every single season of anime, basically. And there's always somebody telling you, oh, this is going to be the next big show, and oh, this is going to be the massive show of the season, and oh, this season is going to be so much better than the four last ones, and yada yada yada. And because people are hyping things constantly, you are kind of taking things at a grain of salt and thinking, well, is this show really good as it's being hyped, or, I mean, is it this actually really that good, and etc. And despite of all of that, I do want to make case today that perhaps the fall 2022 season might be one of the best anime seasons that we had in decades, okay? But there's obviously that possibility that everything may crash and burn, or there's going to be huge work crunch going on and the animation quality drops out on every single anime halfway through, or whatever, okay? We are just making predictions here, and we don't exactly know how every single anime of the season are going to be turning out. But let's kind of start off with this case, obviously. So, ever since that there was the big three, which was basically Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and two of those obviously have been, ended. Well, Boruto is technically going on, which is not as popular, obviously, as Naruto was. There has been many shows that have been kind of trying to take up that mantle. Boku no Hero Academia is definitely one of those, and obviously the Demon Slayer, which has obviously ended as well. But one of those other hyped Weekly Shonen Jump shows obviously is Chainsaw Man, which is going to be probably the most hyped anime of the whole season. And I think there is some validity to that, because obviously there's Mappa behind it, which is probably considered like a top 5 studio in Japan in general. And there's a lot of, like, well, as the theme says, the very gore type of shonen series. I guess we could even argue that it's kind of more seinen-esque. I mean, I'm not super familiar with this IP, as in I have not really read the manga outside from a one chapter or something. So, but this definitely looking visually very good, but that's not obviously enough. But this is going to be like considered kind of like one of those up-and-coming big shows that Weekly Shonen Jump is basically pushing out. And it's like a new show also coming out, which is very important, because you may have a season which is a lot of sequels, and then you have a season that has a lot of new shows. Chainsaw Man is going to be probably the biggest show of the whole season, and might turn out to be like Attack on Titan level, like a big classic. Now, then we obviously have Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, another one which has spun out of obviously One Punch Man. That's a very popular show, obviously, because it has a distinctive art style, and it's a very surrealist type of a comedy, superpower type of a thing. So that's obviously going to be popular. Then we have Spy X Family, which I haven't watched yet. The first part, I've been hearing that very good things. The ratings are very high for the first one. So that's another continuation here for a very popular anime. But this doesn't stop here. Obviously, we have to have, other sequels. We have Boku no Hero Academia Season 6. I'm not expecting this one to be a very amazing season. Season 5 was surprisingly very dark, and it was like very, very dark scenes, actually, in one that was kind of actually not very pleasant to watch. And then there's a lot of nostalgia also in this season. Like, good season has many genres. It has many sequels, and then there's obviously has to be some nostalgia department here. And Bleach is filling that slot here. And Bleach is you obviously thing that never got its final arc, made it into an anime, because obviously the manga and the anime were too close to each other, and I guess they didn't want to do any more fillers and stuff like that. And over the years, now it's finally coming back. And what needs to be understood, that there are a lot of people who are saying, Bleach is never coming back, man. And I always knew it was going to come back. And the reason why is that because they brought Inuyasha back after like all the years that it basically, I think it was on break for 12 years or something crazy like that, a very long number, despite whatever. And when it comes to these weekly shonen series, they are definitely interested in like wrapping up the stories, especially on ones that have like, had a very, very high, long, continuous story. And that doesn't mean that Hitman Reborn is coming back, which could definitely be a case. However, Hitman Reborn was never big as Bleach or Inuyasha. Now, then we have To Your Eternity Season 2. I'm not finished the first season, but that was a really good anime. Like something that fundamentally was a very different-esque of a shonen series, different fantasy, which was more akin to Western fantasy and Western thematics. I mean, there are some Asian thematics there too, but the way it's stylized and everything has been very Westernized. And seeing another season of that is going to be also a big banger. Then there's going to be Blue Lock, which is a new sports series. Looks like Kuroko no Basket, except it's soccer. This is going to be like a wild card series, in my opinion, and it could turn out good. There's been many soccer animes actually as of late, and this could perhaps be a bit of a like, I don't think it's going to be a Kuroko no Basket, but if it was, it would definitely solidify my case here that this is like a very big season. Then there's some other ones. This Eminence of Shadow probably is not going to be as great. It seemed kind of interesting, but not really. I mean, I'm probably going to be giving it a shot and maybe dropping first impressions. But continuing on that nostalgia here, we have Yurusei Yatsura, which at least at one point, the main female character was like most popular character of the year for consecutive years. I remember seeing a chart or something, but this was like a very big comedy series during its time when it was running. I think this was in early 80s or late 80s when it was running, and this is going to be, I think the original has like 150 episodes, so this is going to be a lot more. I don't remember how much filler is there, but I haven't seen the original, and I'm very interested in watching this one as well. But this is like a cult classic, okay? So here, once again, we have a second very OG series here. Then we have Golden Kamuy, another one that is a very special anime in my opinion, another one that we're a bit behind, but it's in one of those seinen anime that definitely is having a bit different type of setting, timeline, which is not normally used, and the story is just like, very solid and very different. It's not exactly like a heist anime, but it's about like finding, it's like a treasure seeking type of a thing, but kind of like in a different, it's just a fundamentally like a very good anime, which I recommend everybody to check out, and it's very well animated as well. And then there's some random stuff here like Shinobi no Itoki. I don't know. I don't have much expectations for those. And let's actually scroll down. And there's also Pop Team Epic, second season. Pop Team Epic was probably one of the most favorite comedy anime. It was not my style of comedy, definitely, but a lot of people seem to love it. And I have no, I don't believe it's going to be any worse than the first season. So if you like the first one, you're probably going to be enjoying the second season as well. And it also kind of, falls into that whole surreal type of thing. And I already said earlier that, every good season needs to have all types of genres here. We had a lot of shonen here. We had seinen types of things. And we obviously have a Gundam series coming in. I'm not a Gundam guy, but obviously, like, if you like that type of stuff, this could be pretty good as well. I mean, Gundam quality, I'm not the guy who tells you, like, okay, what is good quality, what is bad quality in terms of Gundam, but, I mean, it could be good. And what else did we have that I didn't talk about? Oh, Yao Shipero, another one which I need to catch up. Great sports anime once again. Hate biking, by the way. I'm still waiting for like e-scooter anime to come out at some point, and then I can fucking rock with my fucking things. But yeah. And there's a lot of like bunch of like, okay, generic stuff. Like each season, okay, guys, is gonna always have generic shit on it. It's not gonna be like, not all can be winners, okay? And there's a couple of like seasons here, like Idolish and stuff like that. I'm not really interested in this type of stuff, but there are going to be people who are going to be drawn into that. Then we have a game adaptation out of The Legend of Mana. This could be also good. I'm actually been playing the JRPG game on Steam right now. We have a new Conan show, apparently, another one that is like a super long running show. And then there is a Berserk, which is some type of a like I mean, I reviewed this on the old channel, obviously. Actually, one of the very first reviews that I've done, if I recollect right. And, I guess this is going to be some type of a remaster, or it's going to be just chopping the movies in a TV format or whatever. The movie trilogy is pretty solid, I would say. It has maybe inconsistent quality because it switches around 2D and 3D. And then there was also a couple of movies here which needed to be talked about in ONAs. This Exception has a very, very interesting art style. Totally different from pretty much any anime that I've seen. And I don't want to always say I know I'm not the guy who says, oh, this is totally different that I haven't ever seen before. I don't know, but I couldn't think of any series that could have been similar to The Exception. And it seemed like a very interesting sci-fi series. It's an original source material, so kind of vary about its quality. It's going to be probably a train wreck or a masterpiece or something between, like a flawed experience, but still a good one. Tiger and Bunny. And then there's a couple of movies here which need to be talked about. I don't care a fuck about Slime or the Sword Art Online. But Suzume's door locking, based on the trailer, seemed kind of good, at least visually. But it seems that a lot of these, sadly, a lot of the anime movies today are just like visual experiences. And not exactly like, oh, we're going to tell like a grandiose story here in 90 minutes. And we don't have that, sadly. I mean, I always thought that whether it's a franchise movies or non-franchise anime movies, they've never been as good as the anime series. So the movies always, I found them kind of lacking for whatever is the reason of writing or whatever. But and obviously Ghibli has some good movies, and maybe I need to watch things like Paprika and The Godfathers and stuff like that. But we have Slam Dunk here, which is another big nostalgia, very big, the de facto. Probably one of the very first, like the big first sports manga on Weekly Shonen Jump, on like whole Japan. I don't think that there's anything that is probably was as popular as a Slam Dunk, really. I mean, now that I'm thinking of it, there's probably no other. This is like the biggest sports thing ever. We don't have like a full quality trailer here yet, so we are kind of like thinking about how it will basically turn out. But that's like how I think about this season, that it has great amount of sequels, 3 or 4 new shows that look very promising, and then there's a bunch of things which like could have potential or could be like potentially okay or good, but I have to try them out. But probably most of them are going to be hot mess. Now, when I said when was the last season that I thought was a really, really good one, it had to be Fall 2006. This is considered probably by many people, by many of the OGs, probably the best anime season of all time, or it's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's like a clear consensus here, but I mean, here are basically 6 big shows here on the get-go, which are like already to justify everything. So Death Note, what people understand about Death Note, not only was a very popular show throughout this time, this is a cultural phenomena. It has expanded into live action. It has a Netflix movie, and now they're doing a Netflix show unrelated to the movie, hopefully, done by the Stranger Things people. Like, Death Note is very, very big, okay? Like, there's been many people inspired by it and yada yada. It's definitely like one of the most important anime done in the century, really. And then we have Code Geass, which probably was one of the very first like mecha anime, which had more of a different artistic look into. The characters were more shonen-esque in the modern standards. Then we had D. Greyman, which is definitely like one of the first dark fantasy shonen out there. It's definitely... I'm sad that these sequels didn't really have the same impact on me as this original one, but D. Greyman is a good anime. Has it maybe aged as well in terms of quality, but definitely like really good. I just wish that they would actually wrap up the story at some point. And then we have things like Hitman Reborn, probably my top 5 anime. Black Lagoon, another classic. Kenichi, one of the more popular martial arts anime of all time. And then there were some other stuff here which I've tried. Buso Rankin, maybe this is a bit generic show, but something I want to probably retouch upon. And Ghost Hunt, I remember trying that too. It's kind of like basic ghost detective stuff. And there were a lot of generic stuff in this whole. Oh yeah, Kekaishi. This is like a really really good gem out there. Sadly, that's another one that they haven't adapted wholly, the whole manga. But this was a really really good shonen series. Very distinctive art style for its time, and even on the modern day context. And just a very different vibe, and it's one of the very few ones that kind of like well, not really the only one that kind of played into the Japanese folklore, but I just did the way it did it was really really good. And then there's obviously things like Negima, that's a classic for a lot of people, but there's a lot of average shit here. Like let's not be alien about it. Oh, Aoba and Star Racers, another one that I've been planning to watch. But the point I'm making, this was one of the best seasons, like in terms of quality. Yeah, you can see a lot of shows that were like 6 point something rating, and obviously there's a bias in the community to downvote shit that is basically a bit older. But this is probably one of the best seasons. Like this new season of Fall could be better than this one. Okay. But the question is, like, how big of a, like, we can't downplay Death Note because it's big, and we don't know, like, is Chainsaw Man going to be like a cultural phenomena or just something that is critically acclaimed? Like, but whatever. Like, I'm not gonna make this review any longer. I just thought I would be talking about a bit of the next season, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of videos regarding it, because there's so much things to watch next season. So definitely something for everyone. Because let's remember, one last final point here is that maybe the last 4 or 5 seasons have been pretty dry. Okay, like a couple of sequels, yes, but very dry seasons of something that didn't really have really anything massive going on, in my opinion. And they've been weak quality, which kind of also builds up that thing that, oh, finally we have a great season again. But that's pretty much my take. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. See you soon.